I'm going to open this video, not to mention this channel, with a bold declaration. I believe we're in one of the best periods, if not the best period, for cartoons in the history of the medium. But before I get into it, who the hell am I? I'm a cynical adult who watches cartoons. Like a lot of people, I grew up fascinated by cartoons. For me, it was classics like Looney Tunes. It's sort of classics like the works of Hanna-Barbera. And not so classics like... But whether you were a Superfriends kid or a Justice League Unlimited kid, you probably still have a fondness for the cartoons of your childhood. We all do. But I try not to do that thing where we convince ourselves that whatever was there in our childhoods is objectively better. I mean, I enjoyed Transformers when I was 14 because giant robots. But even then, we knew what shows like that were. They were commercials. They were product. It was sad when Optimus Prime died. Oh, spoiler, sorry. But we all knew that it happened so that Hasbro could introduce Rodimus Prime.
Introducing Rodimus Prime.
Of course, the exception to this is Gem. I will not hear a word against that show. So it's true that, aside from Gem, when you look at the era before I became a cynical adult, there was a lot of room for improvement. But I'm not just saying the modern era is better by comparison. There are 3 reasons I believe we're in such a great period for cartoons. There are more cartoons that are creator-driven, that present better content, and that do so with beautiful art and animation. We usually know the creators and showrunners of our favorite cartoons these days, and how their experiences, their personalities, are reflected in the cartoons they make. A great example is the late Stephen Hillenburg, who combined his early love of art and illustration with his years teaching marine biology and created... Or there's Rebecca Sugar, who filtered her childhood relationship with her brother Steven into Steven Universe. Same for Alex Hirsch and his twin sister Ariel, who became Dipper and Mabel Pines on Gravity Falls.
Awkward sibling hug. Pat, pat.
There have always been cartoon creators who become celebrities in their own right, and recent generations of creators have honored that. There are more cartoons being created that have that personal touch, that connection between the creator and the viewer. For as long as I've been watching cartoons, there have been cartoons that are designed to educate, or cartoons that take time out to present positive messages.
A good toothbrushing will take care of it. Brushing is a good idea anytime.
That wasn't entirely altruistic. Back in the late 60s, parents groups started putting pressure on networks about what they saw as excessive violence in Saturday morning cartoons. The result was too many years of cartoons with watered-down content. Even groundbreaking shows like Batman the Animated Series had a list of things they couldn't do. So cartoons would have to find ways around potentially troubling subjects like death.
Uncle Ben? What's wrong? No.
Though when it came to violence, they quickly discovered that you could get away with a lot more if you're fighting robots. So after years of cartoons having to avoid challenging subjects except in the most oblique and non-specific way, it's gratifying to see newer generations of creators asserting the freedom to deal in a much more honest way with themes of mental health and PTSD, or to commit to better representation and inclusion, or just empathizing with their young audience and the kinds of things they have to go through at their age.
Are you seriously trying to bail out again?
What?
On a more basic level, there's more attention being paid to the quality of the storytelling, to characters and their motivations.
Everything I did was for family.
And to the next thing I want to talk about. You know when you spot a name you recognize buried in the credits of some old not-so-classic cartoon? Now just think of how many of those other artists and animators might have been just as talented but never got their chance. With the increase in creator-driven animation, that's been great not only for the creators, but for the artists and animators working under them. While it's still standard for a cartoon to start with a written script before going to storyboard,
Not this again.
I'm telling you, something weird is going on in this town.
a lot more shows now will skip the script and start with the storyboard, integrating not only the illustration, but the character acting right from the start. Artists are encouraged to take artistic license. My palette's not this refined, but there are people who can look at one frame from Steven Universe and tell you who boarded the episode. Respect. I really love when you can see the influences in a show's style, especially when the influence is Miyazaki. You combine that artistry with modern digital tools and big honkin' 4K TVs like you're probably watching this on, and cartoons these days look really damn good. Every cynical adult holds on to the cartoons we loved when we were younger. It can be tempting to cling to only that and say that anything after whatever year is inferior. In other words, I was a Superfriends kid, but if I'd stopped with that, I would have missed out on Justice League Unlimited. Now more than ever, the current generation of cartoon creators, the ones coming from CalArts or from independent channels, they're the ones who grew up on stuff like early Cartoon Network, Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, or on Batman the Animated Series. They're building on a solid foundation, on decades of evolution. And they're building that into new ideas. And they're finding new meaning in old ideas. And even though other shows can't help but suffer in comparison to Gem, they're making cartoons a cynical adult loves to watch. So, having said all that, welcome to the channel. I'll be talking about the cartoons I love, both past and present, and the reasons they appeal to a cynical adult like me. You may have noticed a lot of Steven Universe in this video. That's no accident. I'll be talking about Steven Universe a lot. I'll be talking about cartoons that had the most impact on the medium. I'll be spotlighting my favorite animators and voice actors.
Hey, would you do it for a Scooby Snack?
And I'll be bringing you stories from the history of animation. Finally, I want to get a conversation going. I want to know what you think, so sound off in the comments. And here's a question for a future episode. What are your comfort food cartoons? What can you watch again and again, like I can with old Daffy Duck cartoons or various iterations of Scooby-Doo? So, if you're a cynical adult like me, or if you just like watching cartoons, like and subscribe to never miss an episode. No one can take on the Decepticons like Rodimus Prime.